The first release of Empire at War Expanded, Revan's Revenge, is now available for the Steam version of Empire at War Forces of Corruption. Today we're going to go over the general features of the mod, with more in-depth guide videos coming out over the next couple weeks. In short, the mod converts Empire at War into the Old Republic period, covering the events of the Mandalorian Wars and Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. If you're familiar with our prior mods, Thrawn's Revenge and Fall of the Republic, a lot of the fundamental design will be familiar, but the specific factions and era bring a lot of new content and different ways to play to the table. There are currently 3 playable factions in the mod: the Republic, the Sith, and the Mandalorians. Galactic Conquest and the mod are divided into a few major categories. First, we have the progressive Galactic Conquest maps. These are the maps which cover the galaxy as a whole, or at least period-relevant parts, allowing you to play through the mod's entire time period, progressing from the Mandalorian Wars to the events of KOTOR 2. There are multiple starting periods available for this map. These are the early Mandalorian Wars, late Mandalorian Wars, early Jedi Civil War, and late Jedi Civil War, each with an entirely different map tailored for that starting point and the events which follow it, so each era's map has something unique to offer. The next category, the historical maps, are a set of story-driven Galactic Conquest scenarios with a variety of missions. Right now, these exclusively focus on the Mandalorian Wars, and mission content is primarily focused on the Mandalorian side. But in future releases, this will be expanded with more Republic content in the Mandalorian Wars, and Galactic Conquest focusing on both the Republic and the Sith in the Jedi Civil War and Dark War periods of KOTOR 1 and 2. With each of these historical maps, you have the option to play with or without the missions, so if you're just looking for a smaller, standard sandbox campaign, these maps are a good option there as well. If you're looking for more of a challenge mode, the From the Ground Up mode is a Galactic Conquest where you start with only one planet, building your forces from scratch to conquer the galaxy. This can often be attractive for new players since there's less to control at the start, but especially on higher difficulty, keep in mind this is primarily a challenge mode. In the future, more beginner-focused versions of the map may be worked on, but just be aware of that when playing. The nature of the map, starting with less territory, may give you less to control, but it also means if you're playing particularly slowly, once you do come into contact with the AI, you are going to have a lot more to deal with. There is a second type of map in the same Infinities category as From the Ground Up called Custom, which allows you to set up planet ownership on your own in-game, along with several other options, letting you choose just how many planets you and your enemies control. In Galactic Conquest, the Empire at War Expanded mods introduce several new 4X mechanics intended to help control the pace of the game and reward progression while preventing early snowballing, which means more fun battles of a significant size can happen before you've effectively won. This includes new resources like ship crews, which have had the first stages of some reworks from their past states in Thrawn's Revenge and Fall of the Republic, with ships of higher crew cost in many cases acting as a trade-off for lower build time. Building Golan colonies and academies and taking cloning worlds will increase your crew training capacity. On top of these universal mechanics, each faction has its own set of government mechanics, changing how they play beyond their already unique rosters. For more information on both these government mechanics and any kind of resource information or story progression or anything else in the mods, there's a set of handy guide buttons on the left side in the Galactic Conquest screen. These are a great place to look for information on almost any system in the mod. For the Republic, the major government mechanic right now is a command staff which allows you to choose which heroes you have active, including a system which allows you to set up your landing party for the Ebb and Hawk crew during their hunt for the Starforge. The Mandalorians are currently the most limited in galactic mechanics, but they have several characters who they're able to swap between several different flagships or ground modes, so different vehicles or infantry types. For the Sith, there are 2 main government mechanics. The first is what we're calling the Rule of 2 system, even though yes, the actual Rule of 2 didn't exist yet. This system allows you to progress through different Sith Lords in the position of Master, Apprentice, and Acolyte, letting you influence who will rule the Sith, and including such famous characters as Yathura Ban, Darth Glovok, and Kalatosh Zavros. It also has relative unknowns like Darth Revan, Malak, Kreia, Scion, and Nihilus, because we do like giving that kind of obscure character a moment in the spotlight. The other Sith mechanic relates to the Starforge. Rather than have Lehon as a planet on the galactic map with very weird travel paths, every planet with a star map, including Tatooine, Manan, Dantooine, Kashyyyk, Korriban, and Slaheron, which was a cut planet from KOTOR 1 which we decided to include, is able to build a Starforge relay when under Sith control when the Starforge is available. These relays act as a level 4 shipyard for the Sith, while also giving access to unique variants of ships and some Rakatan vehicles. If the Republic or Mandalorians control a certain proportion of star maps on the galactic level, they're able to launch an attack against the Starforge itself, beginning a tactical battle over Lehon. If you're playing as the Sith, there's an alternate trigger, where the battle has a chance to happen after you control most of the galaxy, and where you're defending the Starforge, essentially as a final desperate attempt to stop you. In the future, this mission line will be fleshed out a bit more with extra tactical missions beyond the main space defense, but if the attack is successful, the Starforge relays are all shut down. Ship rosters are a little more limited as this is a first release, but each faction has their basic roles filled for a fleshed out playstyle. The Republic has a diverse set of frigates, including the Hammerhead, Foray, and Axehead, filling different roles and supported by some larger ships, like the massive Inexpugnable command ship. On the ground, they rely on a mix of anti-infantry and anti-vehicle speeders, supported by infantry and a few heavier vehicles like the Warwalker, which is definitely not a ripoff of the ATTE, and the Command Skiff. The Sith in space have a lot of access to fighter swarms, as well as some painful missile tactics from their Daraphan frigates. Several Sith ships lack shields, making them a bit more fragile but cheaper to produce, though they also benefit from alchemical hulls which can reflect some incoming fire. This is even more common on ground, where much of their army is made up of a variety of medium to heavy alchemical beasts, supported by some Krath vehicles. Both the Republic and Sith also have buildable Force user companies, which have received some major reworks from their current state in Fall of the Republic and Thrawn's Revenge, making them much more fun and useful. The Mandalorians get some of their own Basilisk fighter swarms, but a lot of their power in their fleets tends to be invested in the massive Kandosis and Kiramuds. On the ground, their two types of flying Basilisk give them a lot of mobile power, while slower walking Cockatrice and Baragwan tanks and the Jerkad wheel tank give them a bit more solid area control. Full faction guides will be coming, breaking down the rosters and government mechanics in their entirety. On top of Galactic Conquest, Space and Ground Skirmish are available as well, both against bots and online as usual, with a large collection of maps for both modes, including a handful of new ones not yet featured in Thrawn's Revenge or Fall of the Republic. From the special game modes options on the main menu, you can also play a wave survival mode where you try to survive against waves of enemy units, or you can test out different strategies in the instant action mode, where you can spawn in any combination of units in the mod to check stats or try different strategies. Throughout all of this, a lot of work has gone into setting up sound, a UI, and other elements to build on the KOTOR feel. There's a lot to try out, but this is also just the first release with plenty planned to expand the content that's there, as well as some core gameplay overhauls like upcoming changes to space maps which we'll be covering in the future. To play the mod, all you need to do is go to the Steam Workshop link in the description, click subscribe, and then once the mod has had a chance to download, put the launch code from the description on the workshop page into your launch options. I have a few tutorials on the easiest ways to set up Empire at War mods to launch, which I'll link as well. We hope you enjoy the first release of Revan's Revenge. There will be news coming soon on what to expect in the next versions of Fall of the Republic and Thrawn's Revenge as well.